Welcome to Review Set Scare with Jess and Blair. I'm Jess.
I'm Blair. That was quite the pause there.
It was dramatic pause. Blair, how are you?
I'm good, man. Yourself?
I am doing very well. Thank you very much. It is our first bonus episode in I don't even know how long.
Forever, man.
Probably, uh, I want to say like last Halloween.
No, I swear we've done some earlier this year, but it's definitely been months. It's definitely been months.
It's been a while. As Creed once said, it's been a while.
Creed, which actually isn't really Creed. I think that is Stained.
Debatable. Anyways, this is our first bonus episode in ages. This is a movie that has a huge following. People are going wild over this one. We've talked about this a ton. Blair, a franchise that you're partial to. Myself, a franchise that we'll get into it. But without further ado, let's jump into the bonus episode, an episode where we chat about Terrifier 3. 2024. This came out what, last week?
Yeah, last weekend, last Friday, I think.
Yeah. Runtime on this one, 2 hours, 5 minutes. Blairski, initial thoughts on the runtime?
It's long. It's shorter than the second one, which is nice, but still too long.
Yeah, my only comment is, well, at least it wasn't as long as Terrifier 2.
Yeah, that's a bit long.
I wrote down a couple fun facts here. First film in the series not to feature special effects makeup done by Damien Leone.
Yeah, so you told me that earlier today, which I find wild. He must have had his hands in it somehow, though. It's his baby, right? Like, you'd think he'd
100%. And I'm sure he, special picked his team or what have you. But
yeah.
Pretty cool stuff. I mentioned this to you as well today. Two distribution sources noted that DreamWorks Animation and Universal's The Wild Robot saw a noticeable bump in ticket sales, and they speculate that this is due to teenagers buying tickets for The Wild Robot and sneaking into Terrifier 3.
Too funny. Though when we saw it in theaters, you wouldn't be able to because they had basically security outside the front of the door.
Yeah, and I think there was another theater in the city that had warning signs outside. So I think theaters are, doing their due diligence to keep out the riffraff.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, goodness. And then finally, special effects makeup designer for the movie was John Caglione Jr., who worked on the Joker's makeup for The Dark Knight. Massive makeup work. That is an iconic makeup look.
An iconic character for sure, man.
Absolutely. He said he was a huge fan of Terrifier 1 and 2 and offered to work on the film. Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, let's chat about the folks who worked on this one. Of course, directed by Damien Leone, directed Terrifier, All Hallows Eve, Terrifier 2, and The Ninth Circle, all starring Art the Clown.
Yes, but not always David Howard Thornton.
No, not always. Of course, also written by Damien Leone, wrote Terrifier 1 and 2, All Hallows Eve, and Frankenstein versus The Mummy, a movie I haven't seen, but sounds interesting.
Sounds awesome, actually.
Yeah. We'll chat about a couple people in this movie, of course, starring Lauren Rivera as Sienna, starred in Terrifier 2, Not for Nothing, Dreaming of You, and The Life of Chuck. Yeah, huge performance in this one, I would say.
Yeah, she was great.
Everyone's favorite chainsaw-wielding clown, David Howard Thornton as Art the Clown, also starred in Terrifier and Terrifier 2, 2024 Stream, which you just watched.
I did. Good movie.
The Mean One, which is one that I'm very interested in, came out, I believe, last Christmas or maybe even the Christmas before.
Might have even been the Christmas before. I haven't seen that yet either.
Yeah, and will be starring in a movie that we saw a trailer for before Terrifier 2. He'll be in Screamboat, where he will be playing Steamboat Willie. Antonella Rose as Gabby starred in 4 episodes of The Fear of the Walking Dead, the TV series Candy, and Raven's Home. Also starring Samantha Scafidi as Victoria, starred in 2016's Terrifier, 2022's Terrifier 2, and 2017's Demon Hole. And then, of course, starring Elliot Fullman, Margaret Ann Florence, Bryce Johnson, Clint Howard, Chris Jericho, and the legend himself, Tom Savini.
A short little cameo, but it was great to see him.
Yeah, he got a little bit of screen time, as did Clint Howard, as
Hmm.
did Chris Jericho. It was pretty cool stuff. A synopsis for Terrifier 3, courtesy of our dear friends at I Am a DB. Art the Clown is set to unleash chaos on the unsuspecting residents of Miles County as they peacefully drift off to sleep on Christmas Eve.
Mm,
It is
half true.
it's very, very surface level.
Yeah, it is.
That's not even the tip of the iceberg. There is so much more to not only Art the Clown, but to, other antagonists in this movie,
Hmm.
which might be a good place to start likes and dislikes,
Yes.
the portion of the show where we chat about what we liked, what we didn't like, and everything in between. Now, obviously, Art the Clown got a ton of screen time. It's why people go to these movies.
Yeah.
It's why people love these movies so much. It's to see Art the Clown. But we also saw the return of Victoria,
Hmm.
who plays more or less, I would say, Harley Quinn to Art the Clown's Joker.
I
No?
think that's a good way to put it. Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. It was weird. So Vicky is in the original movie,
Yeah.
but merely just a victim,
Hmm.
just a victim to Art. She does make an appearance in the second movie, but it's very brief, and I think it's more towards the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Now, in the second movie, the Harley Quinn to Art was the little demon girl.
Yeah.
And in the third movie, I don't even think she's mentioned in the third movie, that little demon girl.
I don't know. And I don't recall it being mentioned. But then again, this is where, like, I had questions about the second one. This is where I have questions about the third one. I'm kind of confused with what's going on as far as a story.
Yeah, I am too.
Like,
I am too.
I obviously followed the basic story. It's
Hmm.
Sienna and her brother getting over these horrible things that happened to them and the people they love. But anytime they try and go any further than that, I just immediately get yeah. The story is not. I don't know if "not great" is the right way to put it, but
It's
it's just
confusing.
it's confusing and it's not the centerpiece. It's not the focal point. Again, it's like the Art the Clown. It's not why people are going to see Terrifier 3.
No.
They're not going to see for the story. They're going to see for the blood and the gore and the shock value.
Hmm.
Obviously.
Hmm.
Obviously. And I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that. Me personally, that is not my type of movie.
No, you like a more story-driven movie.
Yeah, or
100%.
just like, I don't know. And I get it. And it's, art is maniacal, just a killing machine. But I just wish there was something more to him. I was really
Yeah.
hoping that Terrifier 3 would hammer home who is Art the Clown.
Yeah.
I know
I
that.
was hoping it was going to do that, and it left me with more questions than answers.
Give me something. We're already the third movie into the franchise.
Hmm.
I remember I had mentioned it to you when we were walking out of the theater, where it's like, I really wish we saw some kind of kryptonite for Art.
Hmm.
But he's got nothing. I know the sword was kind of foreshadowing and mentioned a few times, but the sword didn't really do anything to Art.
The sword and Sienna herself have been mentioned as like the chosen ones, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, she's already chopped off his head with the sword. He came back. He didn't die in this one,
Yeah.
so I'm not too
Again,
sure
so
what his kryptonite is, but
before we get too much into likes and dislikes, I just want to mention, and I imagine that most people listening to this episode are people who have seen Terrifier 3. But it goes without saying, there's probably going to be spoilers.
I was
Um,
actually going to mention that
unintentionally-
at the beginning.
yeah, unintentionally, or, I don't think I have any intentional spoilers, so it'll be unintentional. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, or if you want to go and see it without any spoilers, maybe hit pause until after you've seen the movie. But
Yeah.
anyways, I thought there was some really great horror movie references in one. You started pointing them out immediately.
Yeah, Black Christmas, I
Black
noticed right away.
Christmas. There's, of course, Art the Clown doing his best Jack Nicholson impersonation,
Hmm.
popping through the door. I thought it was great. I thought that
Yeah.
was really, really cool, especially since Christmas horror has such a, it's, I don't know, it's almost its own genre.
I was just about to say that it is almost its own genre.
So it's kind of nice that they're giving the nods to something like Black Christmas.
The acting also I found was really good, especially from Sienna Shaw. Laura Lavera killed it in this movie.
Yeah,
And
I thought this was the strongest performance um, that she's had. I thought it was better than part two.
yeah,
Yeah, I thought she was great.
and I feel like Art is getting a bit better as far as timing his comedy. Kind of talked a little bit about it earlier. Um,
Yeah.
he's showing a bit more of a personality I've found throughout. Well, definitely compared to the first movie.
Yeah, even in part two, something that really bothered me was how goofy Art was being played up. And in this one, the comedy for the character is still there, but
Mhm.
it's so much more in like a reactionary way, where he's reacting to what other people are saying or doing, which I appreciated a lot more. It wasn't his performance wasn't as distracting to me as I thought it was in part two.
Yep, fair enough. Fair
Um,
enough.
we have to obviously, where as somebody who is conflicted on this franchise, we're hammering home the likes, obviously, right
Oh,
off
yeah,
the bat.
yeah, yeah.
So we have to talk about the best part of the movie, which is the practical effects.
It's so good, man. It looks so good in all the movies, all three of them. But yeah, we're talking about three right now. It was fantastic. It's really good.
If nothing else, this movie is a showcase for the fantastic work, the prosthetics, special effects, makeup, and of course the kills. I mean, the kills. When we went into the theater, there was people who were. I mean, there was people who walked out right after the opening scene.
Yeah, I saw people walking out with their bags.
The first 10 minutes, which we've kind of heard that happening worldwide.
Hmm.
There were people filming large sections of the movie on their phones.
Very distracting.
I don't know if it's a social media thing right now or what, but they're clearly, filming the violence, which
Yeah, yeah.
is, I don't know, it is what it is. And if you're going in again, if you're going into the Terrifier franchise expecting, you know, a big story, or maybe you're in it for the wrong reason. It's about the gore, it's about the makeup, it's about the kills. Yeah.
That's exactly it. And it's weird. You see some comments online, people sharing their thoughts. Some people, calling it absolutely loving the violence and the gore. Some people calling it depraved and sick. The way I look at it when I'm watching movies like this, Jess, is as you just said, the work. I'm seeing it as the prosthetics and the
You're seeing it from a
of
technical
yeah,
mindset.
all the effects and work that gets put into these scenes. I
Yeah.
really, really do appreciate that.
I felt, I don't know, and I had mentioned this to you earlier today, where I felt after a while maybe a little bit bored with the violence.
Yeah, well, everyone kept talking about that shower scene,
Yeah,
being a tough scene. First off, I feel like the bedroom scene in Terrifier 2 is a more brutal scene
I agree.
myself than the shower scene.
I
And
agree.
also, it wasn't even my favorite kill in the movie. I liked the very beginning with the family,
Yeah.
which I also thought was a good way to start off the movie. And I liked the scene with Santa. And it wasn't just the kill, really, for the Santa. It was that whole scene, a lot of it with Clint Howard being in it.
In the
I just
bar.
really
Yeah.
enjoyed that kill. Yeah.
Absolutely. I felt like maybe the shower scene by the time we finally saw the movie,
Hmm.
um, I don't want to say overhyped, because I mean it was clearly an extremely violent scene,
Oh, it's brutal. It is brutal.
but it just kind of like but at that point in the movie, I was just a little bit bored with there not being like a great story to connect these brutal scenes together. And
Hmm.
I again, something that I mentioned to you today, it's not like I was shocked or disgusted by
Hmm.
these scenes. I think I'm pretty good with taking the art out of whatever a really violent movie. I think I'm the same with you. I
Yeah.
appreciate the special effects work and what goes into making a scene like that. But at that point, I was just like, give me something else.
Nope, fair enough.
I was
They
just
did.
maybe a
They
bit
opened up a pit to
overwhelmed,
they opened up a pit to hell, which made it got me even
which
more
is
confused.
yeah, and I think that's just like the story is just an afterthought.
Hmm.
Which for like a 2 hour long movie, and this is a giant gripe I had with part two. The
Mhm.
3 hour long movie, I felt a little bit cheated when the story wasn't a great story.
That's a long run time. 2.5 hours is a long run time, even for a movie with a really good story back in it, you know?
Yeah. I also thought at the beginning of the movie there was like a lot of flashbacks to this second film, and
Hmm.
it just kind of seemed like they were kind of cut a little weird.
Okay. I'm trying to remember. I don't remember that. I do remember the flashbacks. I don't
So
even remember
stuff with
which
Chris
flashbacks it was.
Jericho, and that was clearly like setting up all of the stuff with Victoria, and that stuff still just kind of leaves me a bit confused. I'm just confused in general with this movie, and I think it might make more sense on a second viewing. And
Mhm.
I don't know if I have any desire to watch it a second time. To
Fair
be
enough.
honest, to be
Fair
honest,
enough. I'll watch that again and I'll let you know. But
yeah,
there's the second on Terrifier 2, they bring up that there might be a connection with Sienna's dad.
yeah.
And I was hoping they were going to really, really touch on that in this movie because I was really curious about that. They did touch on it, but it again left me with more questions than answers.
Yeah, and it's not even like they fully touched it. There's one scene where he's talking to Sienna, and he finally draws a strong female comic book character, and then there's almost a portal to hell on the other side of the door. But it's like it doesn't dive into like, oh, was her dad a Satanist or not a Satanist, but was her dad, I don't know, was he possessed? Was he ABCD? They didn't dive into it.
Well, hopefully, in number four, they answer some questions. I also did read Damien Leone has said he might have two more in him, but he wants to make both around the hour and a half mark because he realizes that's what majority of fans do want.
I think there just has to be clarification on
And
the story.
clarification.
I
Yeah.
think they're just kind of and again, what do I know? They're making a shit ton of money off of this
I know. Who are
franchise.
we to talk?
And I would safely say like 90% of people who go and see this love these movies.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I can't, I don't know. It's just not for me. And
I
again,
like
it's
them.
not like I'm not like disturbed by the gore or it's the shock value. I get all that stuff. I can appreciate that stuff. It's just not my favorite.
Well, I know you, and I know what kind of movies you like.
Yeah.
Um, I like the movies. It's not my favorite franchise by any means. There's some people out there that are just completely obsessed with it, and I mean, awesome. I'm glad they're enjoying it, right? Like, Art the Clown is our Ghostface, or
Yep.
Leatherface. He's our generation's or this generation's famous killer. He
He's
is.
on track to being a horror icon, whether you like it
Yeah.
or not. I just, with saying that, I just wish they would maybe give him a bit more. I want to know what his story is.
Well, yeah, we'll see. As I said, I guess the story's not done yet, so hopefully they put some clarity to the storyline.
I feel like they've set up the fourth movie as being a Sienna goes to hell kind of thing.
You said
Um,
that at the end of when we were leaving the theater. You're like, art and hell.
Which I mean, it could, and I think it might be the right direction to go. I think
Yeah,
it would be really cool. I think it would be really out there so they can go as extreme as possible
yeah.
with it still making sense in the context of it being in hell kind of thing.
Especially near the end of the third one, it really had that good versus evil vibe.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like if they were going to go that route, it would be you would see Art the Clown at his strongest, but also Sienna at her strongest as well.
mhm.
So maybe you save it for the final film, the final standoff, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't
Time will
know. Who
tell.
am I to tell?
Time will tell.
I feel like I'm out of touch with this franchise. I was really, really excited to see the third one, especially with how much I did not like the second one.
Mhm.
Blair and I were going over our review of part two earlier today, and we were both a little bit surprised with what our final ratings were.
How high
You
we
told
scored
me,
it.
yeah, you told me what I gave it, and I said, "There's no way. There's
Yeah.
no way I gave it that
I had
score."
to play it for you so you could
Yeah,
hear it yourself.
ugh, there you go. I did think it was. I mean, this movie is just. It's everything is in excess. I feel like they're so focused on shocking people that a well-developed story put on the back burner. More than anything, again, just to wrap it up, I was just a little bit bored with the violence. After a while, it just wasn't so much disturbing as it was. I don't know. I kind of rolled my eyes a little bit.
Just another kill.
Yeah. It did look very cool and the makeup was a high point for me, but I kept thinking to myself, like, get on with it. Like, let's, which is the same feeling I had with the second one.
Yeah.
Um,
I remember you didn't mind the first one.
yeah, but that's another one that I haven't seen in a long time.
Mhm.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I can give Damien Leone, like, gotta give him props. He
Yeah.
is doing something great for the genre. He's getting people back into theaters, which is like a really important thing to me. I think it's
Yeah.
great.
I love theaters, man.
People are talking about horror movies again, which is fantastic. You know, it's kind of at the forefront. Um,
Doing big
yeah,
things. Doing big
I
things,
just
man.
maybe a little bit naive at looking or expecting something different from the franchise and then being disappointed
When it doesn't happen.
when he just comes up with, more creative, brutal kills and to me, another lackluster story.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm hoping with the fourth one, he can kind of do best of both worlds. Also, I do have one major spoiler alert. What the hell is up with Jonathan's off-screen death?
Yeah, you know what? I didn't even realize it at first. Then the next day I was like, wait, they didn't show Jonathan
No.
died and or his kill or anything.
Nope.
There's a skull and that's Jonathan.
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
mean, he
I'm
was.
hoping that's another thing they're going to explain in the fourth one.
I mean, he was I'm guessing there's no way that was him.
No, he's a
Um,
huge part of the story. He's a huge part of both movies.
Massive part of part two.
Yeah.
Not as big of a part in part three, but I also thought that he was great in this movie.
Mm-hmm. He was really good.
I thought him and Sienna together were really, really strong.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just like, wait, there's no way he died off screen. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Now it's just a waiting game, right? We'll have to see what comes out in four.
Yeah, it should be interesting. Should
We'll
be
see.
interesting.
We'll see.
With these bonus episodes, we're not doing all the other segments. We just do likes and dislikes, and then we give it a final rating.
Yeah.
Blair, before you give it a final rating, what are your final thoughts on Terrifier 3?
I mean, I liked it. I agree with a lot of what you have to say. I don't find the story that bad. For me, it's more confusing. I just don't get it. I don't
Yeah.
understand it. But I'm also myself, I'm a slasher fan. And when I go to slasher movies, for me, it's to watch dumb people get killed in
Absolutely.
awesome ways. So that, that's why I personally went to it, right? So
I agree. And I appreciate the whole, what we go for. Every time we watch a slasher movie, it's the same. The
Mhm.
story's not great, but it's not about the story. But even, I mean, Friday the 13th had a super simple story.
And it made sense.
Even the Texas Chainsaw Massacre had a super simple story.
Yeah.
Halloween, super simple story.
Yeah.
But it just kind of like, I don't know. I felt like it was still a lot more stable story wise than something like this. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe
No.
they just get a little bit carried away. I don't know. All I can say is I liked it better than Terrifier 2, which isn't saying a lot.
I did like it better than Terrifier 2 too. Actually, we discussed we talked about this just a little bit ago, our ratings for Terrifier 2 and how high they are. I listened to my ratings for Terrifier 1, Terrifier 2, and I'm about to give my rating for Terrifier 3. So I'm actually going to rate all three films because I'm changing my rating for
Excellent.
Terrifier 2.
Me too.
I'll start with the original Terrifier. I originally gave it 3.5 out of 5. I'm sticking with that for the first Terrifier. Terrifier 2, I gave it 4.5 out of 5 on my original review, and man, I am dropping that down to 2.5 out of 5. I've rewatched it a couple times too. So yeah, I'm dropping it down to 2.5 out
To
of 5.
me, sorry, I want to add on to that. To me, Terrifier 2, it's not like an overly rewatchable movie. And I think that's because of the runtime and the repetitiveness of it with that lengthy runtime. I don't know.
The
I've seen it
second,
twice, and the second time was I couldn't do it, man.
that was in theaters with
That
me.
was in
Second time.
theaters.
Yeah.
I remember getting up maybe 2 hours in
Yeah.
and seeing if I could get a cup of coffee because I was dozing
The
off.
concession was closed.
It was closed. I was like, oh, I just need a cup of coffee.
Fuck. So yeah, 2.5 out of 5 for Terrifier 2. And Jesse, Terrifier 3. Do we have a rating we're gonna go by?
It is out of 5 Blood Angels by a Chris Kringle imposter out of 5.
Okay. Terrifier 3, I'm gonna give it 3. Blood Angels by a Chris Kringle imposter out of 5. So that basically my favorite of the 3 is the original.
Yep.
Followed by number 3,
3.
followed by number 2.
Fair enough. I think that's safe. I believe I gave the first one 2.5.
You did.
I'm going to stay there right now just because, like I had mentioned, it's been a while since I've watched it. Terrifier 2, you reminded me that I gave it 2.5.
Which is what I gave it now.
I told you bullshit. I told you no way. Because that movie just had almost no redeemable qualities to me.
Yeah, I know you hate that movie.
I couldn't stand it. I don't know, Terrifier. For the special effects alone, for the kills, I'll give Terrifier 2 1.5.
Okay.
And then Terrifier 3, I'm giving it 2 Blood Angels by a Chris Kringle imposter out of 5. Again, I will, major props to the special effects and the performances from, oh my goodness. Bear with me. Lauren Lavera, Elliot Fulham, and even the star of the show, David Howard Thornton, who I thought his performance in this one, to me, was a lot more enjoyable than the second one. Again, this franchise just isn't for me.
I think that's the moral of the story. This franchise isn't for everyone. That's it.
100%.
Some people are going to love it. Some people are going to hate it. Some people are going to be in the middle. Whatever.
And I'm still going to go to theaters and see part 4. And I'm still going to go to theaters and see part 5.
If there is.
And again, that's me being naive for expecting that something different from the franchise is going to happen. And, fool me once, fool me twice. Hopefully, we get something cool with the next one.
If it goes to hell.
I think it'd be cool, man. I think it'd be cool.
Kind of like Army of Darkness or something like that.
Yeah, why not?
Just go way out there, I mean,
think
Evil Dead's already out there, but...
Well, yeah, I think Terrifier is out there. I mean, with the kills and stuff.
Yeah.
You might as well go completely wacky. You can add some really cool creatures, really cool demons, and then just have Sienna just, hacking her way through.
Slay away. Yeah.
Trying to fight through Art's army,
Or whatever demon was inside Vicky.
Yeah. Could be really cool, man.
Yeah.
Until Terrifier 4, this has been Reviews That Scare with Jess and Blair. I'm Jess.
I'm Blair. Remember to stay scary.
And I eat every sandwich. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Reviews That Scare. Make sure you check out our Linktree at linktree/reviewsatScare. That's linktr.ee/reviewsatScare, which has links to our Instagram, YouTube, Patreon, Twitch, and many other things. If you'd like to email us, you can reach us at reviewsatscare@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and remember to stay scary and eat every sandwich.